Hello guys, welcome to today's video. Today I want to take you through a journey to know the differences between qualitative and quantitative animal traits, or pretty much qualitative and quantitative data. Now, animal traits could be classified into these two categories. So much of data could basically be classified into these two categories. One is called qualitative, the other one is called quantitative. Qualitative data is basically descriptive in nature. It wants to describe, it just wants to tell you the kinds where, so we could say this is descriptive, seeks to describe, this seeks to measure. So this in other words, this can be said to be subjective. This is objective. That's because qualitative data just tells you the kind, the nature, the shape, the groupings. You know, it just seeks to answer the question, to attempt to bring clarity on, is it yes or no? Is something present or is it absent? Whereas here seeks to tell you how much or to what extent. Let's say how much or extent of that. So whereas over here, yes or no could equally mean what. You know, it seeks to answer this question. What is it? Is it present? Is it absent? That's qualitative. It includes things like shape, you know, shape, color. In humans, in society, we could talk about religion. It's also a qualitative data, skin color, horn, presence or absence of horn, the presence or absence of hump, shank color, etc., etc. Whereas quantitative traits have to do with weight, mass, height, milk production, you know, eggs, etc., etc. One other major thing you need to know about qualitative traits is that they fall into discrete classes. That is distinguishable sets. So we can say discrete. Discrete. This is a fixed shape. Discrete. They are discrete in nature. In other words, they are discontinuous. Discontinuous. They don't overlap. It's either you fall into this category or the other category. It's a description of kind. Whereas over here, they are continuous in nature. A certain depth in quantitative traits are continuous. That means from one low range or one low end to another extreme end. So there could be a lot of animals, a lot of set of data that falls in between. So they move from small, they graduate in the form of a gradient until you get to the maximum height or the maximum value. Whereas in qualitative traits, there are no such graduation. It's either you are in this class or in the other class. It is either something is black or is red or it's green. But over here in quantitative traits, yeah, you could have one low trait and then other traits fall in between a lot. For example, we want to group you in your classroom now according to height. You will agree with me that there will be the shortest person in the class, and then there will be the tallest person. In between the shortest and the tallest, the rest of you guys will fall in between. There will be someone who will be slightly taller than the shortest, and another person will be taller than that person. The next person will be taller than that person until we get to the highest person. So biological data, many biological data, they fall under here. Whether it is blood pressure and what have you, they fall in between this group. So you quantitative data or quantitative traits in a population, they could fall into what we call a dumbbell distribution. Majority will fall in between the middle, and then there will be minority on the extreme, both ends of the extreme spectrum. So in qualitative data, we use language. So we could say language is used to describe qualitative data, that is presence or absence, big or small, or that kind of thing. Whereas here we use numbers. Description here is based on numbers. In quantitative, it is based on numbers. So statistics is what is used here. Statistical analysis is what is used here to describe quantitative traits. Statistical analysis, and on the basis for such statistical analysis could be means, variance, covariance, etc. So here, even though we use some form of statistics here to describe it, it could just be like frequencies, how frequent a particular data, a particular kind has appeared, just things like frequency, pole, and all those kind of things. Whereas here we use mean and variance. In genetics, we know that qualitative traits are controlled by major genes, whereas quantitative traits are controlled by minor genes, whereas these are controlled by major genes, if you like. Major genes. The other thing closely related to this is that the effect of the genes is easily visible. There is a high effect of a particular gene, high effect of genes are felt here, of an individual gene. Whereas here, the impact of an individual gene is low. Impact of individual gene is low. Okay, that's because you need a few genes here. That's just one or few genes are needed here. Here you need many genes to impact the trait. If a trait is qualitative in nature, you're often going to need just one gene or just two or few genes to control its expression in a Mendelian fashion. Whereas if it is a quantitative trait like weight or height or milk production, you need many genes. Many genes come together to control a quantitative trait, so that the impact of one particular gene is so small. Whereas here, there are just few genes and there is a high impact of a singular gene. The other aspect closely related to this as well is the action of the gene. In qualitative gene traits, beg your pardon, the action that led to the manifestation of the gene, there are actions such as dominance. In dominant action, there are oftentimes maybe two forms of the genes, two alleles of the gene. Alleles are just different forms of a gene that are found on the same locus. So one gene they will be contrasting. They are opposite forms of the gene. One could be about shortness, one could be about tallness, just for example. So if one says tall and the other one is coding for shortness, you see, If there is dominance, for example, one of the genes may suppress the expression of the other. If there is complete dominance, the suppressed gene will not be expressed phenotypically, so much such that the offspring or the animal carrying the gene will look as good as though the suppressed gene was not present in its genotype. Whereas in quantitative gene, there are many genes and there are multiple gene interactions as well. Dominance is not found over here. You could have epistasis, that's interaction between one gene and another on a different location, different loci. One gene could be in another locus and influence the expression of another gene on another locus, that is epistasis. Even when they are on the same locus, the predominant form of gene action here is additive. So many genes are involved, and each of them just makes a little contribution to the overall expression of that gene. That contribution is additive. You put up all the contributions of the multiple genes that are involved in this trait. That is how you come about a quantitative trait. So quantitative traits, like I just said, they are polygenic. So another word used for them is polygenic, meaning they are controlled by many genes. Whereas these ones, they are controlled by a single gene or so, or few genes, and so they are called monogenic. In terms of environmental impact, qualitative traits have little or they suffer little or no environmental influence. You will agree with me that the color, the coat color, for example, which is a qualitative trait, absence or presence of horn is a qualitative trait. Sex, whether male or female, is a qualitative trait. These traits are just mentioned now from your little observation around your farm or your little knowledge of animal science. You know that they have little or no environmental factors affecting them. If an animal is going to be male or female, from conception, this gender has been determined. So there is little or nothing the atmosphere or the environment could do in terms of mammals. And then the something, the color of of the coat of a cow or of a goat or of a sheep comes under little or no environmental impact at all. The color is fixed irrespective of the prevailing environmental condition. You cannot feed the animal with a certain diet or excessively and expect that the coat color will change from red to white. No, it is just kind of fixed. But quantitative traits are subject to environmental influence. So the height of an animal, the weight of an animal, the quantity of milk production from an animal, the body mass of an animal will be determined not just by the genes, but so much by the environment. Environment in animal science includes feeding, not just the housing. Care, everything outside of the gene is called environment in animal science. So the environment is going to determine or play a major role on the quality of the quantitative trait that you see expressed in your animals. So qualitative traits generally come under environmental impact, but quantitative traits have little or no environmental impact influencing them. Another one is the transmissibility of the trait. Qualitative traits are known to have high heritability. And that is the component of that trait that is due to genetics. Whereas quantitative traits, they are generally traits that have low heritability. So most of your economic traits in animal, the traits that the farmer is raising the animal for, whether be it meat, be it egg, be it fat, be it whatever, all those traits, disease resistance and what have you, they are generally traits whose heritability is moderate and low. So you should you do well to remember that qualitative traits have high heritability, but quantitative traits generally have low heritability. I believe that with these few points, I hope that you can tell the differences between qualitative and quantitative traits. I will see you in my next video.